is Grace, and I'm starting this video off talking about passive aggressiveness. And now, remember, I graduated many years ago, and my degrees were in psychology and sociology. And in psychology, we discussed passive aggressiveness, of course. And the basic way it was summed up, totally everybody summed it up this way, was that passive aggressiveness is indirectly resisting demands. Like I said that slow on purpose, in case you're wondering. I'm not having a mind blurber, mind whatever. So, yeah, but indirectly resisting demands. Now, these demands did not have to be like somebody's actually saying you must do this or it's part of your job. You know, it didn't have to be that. The demands could be something just like some social norm or social expectation. It could be anything that somebody thinks that somebody's saying you have to do, and they're resisting it in an indirect fashion. And I have a more recent example. Now, before I go there, from what I understand, it has exploded since then, the definition of passive aggressiveness. And I hear a lot of it, not a lot, but every once in a while I hear something, somebody use passive aggressive, and it's rather different than I had learned way back when, and I used it a few times since then, but not really something that I have had to go back over or did go back over kind of thing. So, you can see you can't really see, but yeah, they're building more houses out there. But anyway, so it's not something that I've had to focus on for a long time, the definition. And from what I understand, yeah, like I said, it's exploded since then, and what they include in it, and how it's seen and everything like that. But I do have a somewhat of a more recent example, I should say. Okay, example. The more recent example, and some people might not think this falls into it, but it's when a person doesn't keep their promises. Okay? Now, a promise is usually something that somebody gives freely. You can even consider it as something like a job, but this one wasn't a job. But when somebody gets hired for a job, they know the job description, and they're being hired. Basically, that's a promise to say that I'm going to do my job. But the situation I've been seeing is not about a job, like I said. But I see that as passive aggressiveness when somebody knows that they're supposed to do something, or they've promised that they're going to do something, and they just don't do it. Just whatever. And often the thing about it is they don't say that they're not going to do it. They just don't do it. And you can ask, why didn't you do it? And they really won't give an answer. Yeah. That's the kind of. By the way, I'm on my way to Walmart to buy some groceries and things I need for the house and stuff. I usually go to Kroger, but I had to wait today, and that's why it's kind of sunshiny outside, because we had that guy came over, and that's a story in and of itself. And I basically spent that time that he was there wrangling dogs and moving them from inside outside, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, that's how my day went. But it was only actually like 30 minutes, so what am I complaining about, right? But you know how it is when you're waiting on somebody. He got there exactly at that time, so yeah, that was pretty good. But anyway, out in the Texas heat, it only says 92 degrees, which, hey, that's amazing. Yesterday we had a storm, so that was surprising. But anyway, now, I got other things I want to talk about, and like I said before, I usually have to cut this off after every minute. I think I'm just going to sum this, close this video. In this video, I'll get it right in a minute. Boy, it's hot. Let me tell you, it's really hot. But, yeah, the thing that I've been seeing lately with passive aggressiveness is really people, one person saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And this has been, I don't know, since sometime early last year. And never, and it was everything. So of course, after somebody does it to you a time or two, you no longer believe them. That whole thing of fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, and then after that, you're going to say, I'm not going to believe somebody You know, if they say they're going to promise, they don't promise, that kind of thing. I mean, they don't fulfill their promise. But that's another topic that one day I want to go more into. But right now, I'm trying to cool down. So I'll talk to y'all later.
Okay, it's Wednesday morning now, and I wanted to continue this video before I put it up, add a little more to it. And I'm going to mix passive aggressiveness with rigidity. And that's my dog sitting where he usually sits in front of me, making all kinds of noises because he knows I'm talking. That's all he needs. But yeah, let me go back in my past. When I was growing up, I mentioned before that I was around a lot of people who were narcissistic, that kind of thing. More toxic and very, very rigid, which, the rigid thinking is rigid. But my school that I went to here in Texas, I grew up, born and raised in Texas. The school that I went to was actually a really good school for a town. It wasn't a small town, but it was a town. And they were like number 3 in Texas in the independent school district at one time. So they were really good, what they did. It's changed a lot, but over time, because of like hurricanes and stuff, people just moved out. But they were very rigid with us. I mean, and it was strict. Back then, what is it called? Corporal punishment, when they could paddle the kids. Yeah, that was really awful. I am totally against that. And it finally ended sometime when I was in junior high. I don't know whether it was more of the school district or just it ended, period. But one of the coaches it was his job to paddle in junior high. We didn't have middle school, so junior high. And back then, there wasn't middle school. Anyway, he got fired because he was too rough in paddling both boys and girls. I mean, you could hear it down the hall. Everybody lived in like terror of making any kind of mistake. Just the least little mistake could send you to the principal to get paddled and stuff. And he got fired because apparently somebody's parents, made a big deal out of it, and then that ended that. That was just ended. No more paddling. And but there was such rigidity. I mean, you had to be. I use the word rigidity, rigid. You had to be so afraid of doing anything wrong, and that is not a good thing. Living your life being afraid of making even the least little mistake is not good. That's my personal opinion. Read the disclaimer in the description box below, but it is not good. And people might think that it is, but no. We're not perfect beings. We're not, we're humans. We're not perfect. And to, plus the whole thing of physically harming somebody because they're, with your aggression, that to me is not good. But anyway, so then after that, after I graduated and everything, I got married at age 18, and then I didn't really start college until a little bit later. I was married, we moved around a lot and everything, and like I said, I've been to 8 colleges and universities because we moved around so much. But so it was kind of spread out. I didn't attend every semester, but I was still a career student. And you want to talk about rigid? Seriously. And I went to a very liberal, one of them was very liberal, the other ones weren't. But university, it was a very liberal university. The others, colleges and universities, weren't so much. And they weren't quite, that university, it wasn't quite as rigid, but still there is that part of it all. Okay, I should add a little bit more to that. Of course, if, what I said about kids getting paddled when I was young, I never did. But it would be to the point where they could barely walk, okay? And not only was there the fear of being abused, that is abused, being abused, that is abuse, is the humiliation, which is also abuse. Being totally humiliated because everybody knew what happened to you. Luckily, people wised up a bit about abuse, and that's no longer allowed. But then whenever I got into, college and university, there was still a harshness because of your grades, which of course you need grades, and of course you need to know what you're doing. But it, for some reason, just now I had like a little flashback of a professor. I made, did the test, made no mistakes on the test, and he gave me a B. And I said, why did you give me a B when I didn't make any mistakes? He goes, because nobody's perfect, and I'm not going to give anybody an A. And I had a really high GPA, so I actually, I don't know how old I was then, but I actually went to the bathroom and started crying and everything. It was so upsetting. Now that is, in a way, a different kind. It's still you're looking at something and you're saying, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, but they have power over you. In other words, they have power to give you a B when you made 100%. And there was this kind of thing, and plus you got your grades, like I said. So you always had to be, on your papers. And remember, I taught college and university, so I know how it goes. But I wasn't quite so rigid. No, I've been through it enough. I was a career student, knew it. But you had to conform constantly. Your mind was, you have to do, be so rigid in which the way you do your papers, the way you, of course, do your exams, your, test exams. But after that, I said, no more. It's my time in my life, and I'm not doing that. And when I was I think a graduate or maybe an undergraduate student, I tried to get had sent a postcard to one of my friends, and she didn't understand one of the words I used. And I thought, that's when it kind of clicked in my head. If I'm going to use words that people can't even understand the concept, what's the use? Seriously. I, of course, given so much rigidity, I know grammar, I know spelling, that kind of thing. But no, I'm not going to use words that it's going to cause somebody to whip out a dictionary to understand me. That's it. It takes away from it's like when somebody tells a joke and somebody doesn't quite get it and they ruin the joke. It's the same thing with a concept. If somebody doesn't understand, it ruins it for them. By the way, another part of being rigid. Now, I took classes in psychology, sociology, got degrees in both. In psychology, when you wrote a paper back then, it eventually started changing. But in psychology, if you wrote a paper, I was not in it. The word I was never in it. Me, anything that said, put yourself, you're in the paper. Now, in sociology, it was a complete and total opposite. In sociology, and it became even more so, you had to put something about you to where it showed why you're thinking the way you're thinking. If you have any bias or biases, agenda, whatever, you had to put that. So people reading it, these days you can hear it, but reading it would say, okay, maybe they're thinking that way because of their experience. It's kind of like qualitative research, and especially in qualitative research, to understand where they're coming from. And so I do that in my videos. I was trained this way. I totally agree with this way to do it. Now that brings me to my videos. I'm not always in the, I mentioned that I think in the last video, that I'm not always in it, and I'm not very narcissistic. In fact, I took that MPI test. I accidentally ran across it, really, I think last week. And I am so low on it. It was so low that, in one of the questions, I said, well, that the alternate answer would be me putting myself down. That's my dog drinking, in case you're wondering. But so, I took it and I had to laugh because I've always known I'm like the complete total opposite of narcissist. But that's not always a good thing either, because about the healthy narcissism. But anyway, yeah. Where was I? I'm losing my train of thought. Okay, I think my dog's going to quit making noise. At least, well, no, you see him. He's going to sit down next to me. He bumped the camera. That's him. Yeah, that's Grumbling Ghost. But anyway, you see how I get distracted. I'm going to tell a story of something that happened yesterday, the day before, I don't know. You know how we have trolls. And I had a troll that, and apparently it was somebody young, I could tell just by the thumbnail photo. Made me think this is a really young boy. And apparently he has given himself the title of somebody that could go through your video and your videos and determine if you're doing them right. Okay. And yeah, somebody growing up, they're gonna believe that, you know, that they're that just growing up worries me. But it was like, you know, it was like there's an echo. Well, yeah, there is an echo in this room, and you know, it sounded like you had something really good to say, but and went on, and apparently this is a troll. I got a good idea this is a troll. A young boy, he's a troll, but he's the leader of everything, you know. And I mean, I'm laughing, but it's kind of at the same time worrisome, you know, when somebody thinks that. And there is somebody, you know, people have said things on my videos, you know, that they would rather see my face, but I've mentioned in my last one why I don't, and this one. And I really don't care that much to have myself in any video. I mean, I've done them, you can see them, I've been in videos, but it's more trouble for me getting up. Oh, I've got so much to do when I first wake up to stop and put makeup on. And right now, since I had that eye problem, I'm not about to do anything, you know, wearing any makeup. I gotta throw the other one away just in case that was it instead of me dropping my phone on my face. But I don't want to be rigid anymore. I don't want to live up to somebody and, you know, somebody else's expectations on something this simple. No, this is me doing what I'm doing. And some people could say that's passive aggressiveness. Now I'm tying it together because it's a norm, because people put themselves in their videos. That's a norm. It's like a social norm in this YouTube communities. It's YouTube all around. But who determined that? You see what I'm saying? And for me, no, not doing it. And it's not passive aggressiveness because I'm not rebelling against anybody. This is just what I decided to do myself. And there is somebody, you know, recently left a, you know, comment, and she was very nice about it. The young boy was not nice about it, and I'm not the only person that I know that he did this to. But no, you know, you live your life. You get, especially to my age, and you say, "This is my life. I have one life, and it's not hurting anybody. It's not harming anybody." That I do my videos like this. If it were hurting somebody and harming somebody, if it were illegal, yeah, somebody can say something and say, you have to do this way. But if it's not some promise, I did not give a promise. It's not something that, you know, I have to do. No, you know, and that's where I think the line should be. You know, there really shouldn't be a line, but you know, it's not illegal. It's not harming me. It's not harming anybody else. You know, it's not something I made a promise about doing. So anyway, enough on this today. I'm going, you know, like I said before, I'm wanting to do my videos a little bit different, and I am. So anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.